Everyone, Mr. Tweet here. So in this screencast, I'm just going to quickly go over a couple of the really important ideas that were found in this first pair deck. So one of the things that you need to make sure that you understand is what it means when we say like the M1 measure of money supply. When we talk about how much money is in our economy, we're really going to focus in on M1, the money that's ready to be spent right now. So money that's like cash, like that people are ready to go spend, or money that's in their checking account that they can go spend using like a debit card, or if they want to go old school, they can write a check, something like that. So money that they have available to spend right now, that's M1. M2 includes M1, but I almost never treat it that way. That like when you hear me talking, I'm going to frequently talk about like the choice between M1 versus M2. What that really means is like when you get money, do you want to keep it liquid so that it's ready to be spent? Or do you want to try to put it into something called an interest earning asset, something that's going to make some money for you, but that you can't go spend it right away? So like a CD at a bank is a savings account that pays a higher interest rate, but you can't take your money out of it. It's stuck for a period of time. So that's the trade-off is, do you want it liquid, M1, or do you want to try to make money off of it, another interest earning asset? So that's one of the really big important concepts from this first section. Other big important concepts, understanding the difference between investment and personal investment. That when we talk about investment in econ, that's businesses putting money back into themselves so that they can grow and become more profitable. Personal investment is when a consumer, a customer, or it could be a business, but usually we think of it as like a private consumer. When they take their money and they put it into some sort of like interest earning asset or some other thing to try to grow it to make it worth more in the long run. So like if you have somebody who's buying stocks or bonds or mutual funds, things like that, that's a personal investment. That it's not investment, not a business spending money for the business to grow, but a personal investment is like when I take my money and I put my money in something to try to make it grow. Similar, but not the same thing in econ. The biggest difference is that investment, when businesses are buying like factories, they're buying equipment or they're buying trucks, that counts for GDP because they're buying goods and services. When I put my money in stocks, nothing's getting produced. Or if I put my money in some bonds, nothing's getting produced, no GDP. That's the biggest difference between them. So in this section, there was a couple of other things that I went over as far as like what money is and how it functions. But I want to make sure that, before you leave this section, you know about that like M1 versus interest earning assets like in M2, that you understand that. And then you also understand investments versus personal investments. In econ, we're not really going to get into stocks very much. But we actually are going to get into bonds. You do need to understand what a bond is and how it works. That's the other big idea from this first section, right? Making sure that you understand that when you have a bond, you're giving money to some entity and then they're slowly paying you interest over time and then they give you your money back, right? So what that means is I'm giving M1 and then I get this piece of paper called a bond, but that's not money. The bond doesn't count as M1 because you can't spend it. So that's going to be a super important idea in monetary policy and all throughout Unit 7. So anyways, there you go. Those are the biggest, most important ideas out of this first pair deck. I will see you guys later. Peace.